They say football is a gentleman's game played by thugs, but Eric Cantona, he was something else. A rebel, an artist, a warrior. He wasn't just a player, he was a statement. There was arrogance in the way he walked onto the pitch, the way he popped his collar as if he was above everyone else. But there was also magic in his touch, a genius in his play, and a fire in his heart that made him unpredictable. And just wait until later in this video when we tell you about the moment he did the unthinkable. A moment that nearly got him banned from football forever. But first, how did a kid from France, written off by his own country, become the king of Manchester? The making of a rebel. Eric Cantona wasn't born into royalty. He was born into chaos. Growing up in the tough neighborhoods of Marseille, football wasn't just a sport, it was a way to escape. From an early age, he had a love for the game, but he also had something else, a short fuse. His playing style was elegant yet aggressive, a mix of raw talent and sheer defiance. He started his professional career at Auxerre, where his ability was undeniable, but so was his temper. His clashes with coaches, referees, and even his own teammates became legendary. When he moved to Montpellier, things got even more intense. There, he once threw his boots at a teammate's face during an argument. Another time, he insulted the manager of the French national team in a live interview. Cantona didn't just play football. He lived it with every fiber of his being, and sometimes that passion burned everything around him. The infamous French fallout. By the late 1980s, Cantona had built a reputation as both a magician and a menace. His talent was undeniable, but his disciplinary issues followed him everywhere. Marseille, the biggest club in France, took a chance on him, believing they could tame the fire inside him. But they couldn't. After falling out with the club's management, Cantona was loaned out to Bordeaux, then Nîmes, but his temper only worsened. The moment that sealed his fate in France came in 1991 when, during a disciplinary hearing for throwing a ball at a referee, Cantona stormed out and shouted, "You're all idiots!" The French football authorities had had enough. He was banned indefinitely. Furious with the system, Cantona made a shocking decision. He announced his retirement from football at just 25 years old. France had given up on him. His homeland saw him as a lost cause, a wasted talent who couldn't control himself. But England was about to meet its new king. Arrival in England. From Leeds to Manchester. After a short break from football, Cantona found his way to England, where he signed for Leeds United in 1992. Leeds was a team built on grit and aggression, and Cantona's arrival added the touch of class they needed. With him in the squad, Leeds went on to win the First Division title. But something wasn't right. Cantona was a player who needed the biggest stage, and deep down, he knew he wasn't at the club where he truly belonged. That's when fate intervened. Sir Alex Ferguson, the manager of Manchester United, was building a squad capable of dominating English football, but he was missing one thing: a leader, a game changer, someone who could turn a good team into a great one. In November 1992, Ferguson took a gamble and signed Cantona for just £1.2 million. It would turn out to be one of the greatest signings in football history. Manchester United's king. Cantona didn't just play for Manchester United, he transformed them. He stepped onto the pitch with an aura of invincibility, a confidence that spread through the entire team. With his iconic popped collar, chest out, and head held high, he looked like a warrior ready for battle. He was the missing piece of the puzzle, the leader Manchester United needed. In his first season, he helped them win the Premier League title in 1993, ending their 26-year drought. The following season, he was even better, scoring 25 goals and leading United to another league title. But with Cantona, there was always a storm brewing. He was a player who played on the edge. And in 1995, that edge pushed him over the limit. The Kung Fu kick that shocked the world. Here it is, the moment that turned Eric Cantona from a footballer into a football outlaw. January 25th, 1995. Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. The match was tense and emotions were running high. Cantona had already been sent off for kicking an opponent, but as he walked toward the tunnel, something happened. A Crystal Palace fan, Matthew Simmons, ran down the stands, shouting abuse at him. What happened next was pure Cantona. Instead of ignoring it, he turned, ran towards the crowd, and launched himself into the stands with a kung fu kick straight into the fan's chest. The football world had never seen anything like it. The image of Cantona, legs in the air, crashing into the crowd, became one of the most iconic and shocking moments in the sport's history. The reaction was immediate. Cantona was banned for 8 months, fined £20,000, and many people called for him to be banned for life. He became public enemy number one. But what did Cantona do? Did he beg for forgiveness? Apologize to the FA? Instead, he walked into a press conference and delivered one of the most bizarre and legendary quotes in football history. When the seagulls follow the trawler, it is because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Nobody knew what it meant, but that was Cantona. Mysterious, defiant, a genius on his own terms, the redemption and the farewell. When Cantona returned in 1996, people thought he would be a shadow of his former self. They were wrong. He came back even stronger, more determined than ever. He led Manchester United to another Premier League and FA Cup double, proving that he was still the king. Not just with his goals, but with his leadership. By now, he was the team's captain, the heartbeat of the squad, and the inspiration for younger players like David Beckham and Paul Scholes. But just when the world thought they would get to enjoy a few more years of Cantona's brilliance, he shocked everyone once again. In 1997, at just 30 years old, Cantona announced his retirement from football. No warning, no farewell tour, just a sudden exit, as dramatic as his career. When asked why he was leaving, he simply said that he wanted to go out at the top. He didn't want to fade away, he wanted to be immortal. The legend lives on. Cantona wasn't just a footballer. He was a philosopher, an artist, a revolutionary. His influence transcended the game itself, leaving behind a legacy that still echoes in the halls of Old Trafford and beyond. Even after retiring, his impact on Manchester United never faded. His swagger, his confidence, and his larger-than-life personality helped shape the identity of the club during the 1990s, setting the stage for the dominance that followed under Sir Alex Ferguson. Many of the young players who grew up under his leadership, David Beckham, Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, and Gary Neville, have spoken about how Cantona's presence changed the mentality of the team. He showed them that football was more than just a sport. It was an expression of self-belief, fearlessness, and art. But Cantona's story didn't end when he left football. He walked away from the game at just 30 years old, shocking the world with his sudden retirement. Unlike many footballers who struggle with life after football, Cantona thrived. He turned to acting, starring in French films and even making an appearance in the critically acclaimed movie Looking for Eric, where he played a mystical version of himself, guiding a struggling fan through life's hardships. He also dabbled in poetry, writing cryptic verses that reflected his philosophical approach to life. And of course, he continued to give interviews that left people scratching their heads, delivering quotes so bizarre yet profound that they only added to his myth. Despite stepping away from football, Cantona never lost his connection with Manchester United. He remains a cult hero among fans, with chants of "Ooh Ah Cantona" still ringing around Old Trafford whenever nostalgia takes hold. His influence on modern football is undeniable, proving that greatness isn't just measured in trophies or goals, but in the way a player captures the imagination of an entire generation. Because Eric Cantona wasn't just great, he was different. And in football, different is what makes legends. Love him or hate him, Eric Cantona was the kind of player you simply couldn't ignore. He wasn't just another footballer, he was a force of nature, a man who played the game with an intensity and arrogance that made him both adored and feared. His legacy isn't just about the goals he scored or the trophies he won, it's about the emotion he brought to the pitch, the drama, the unpredictability. Cantona was the kind of player who could make fans jump out of their seats with a moment of brilliance or leave them stunned with an act of defiance. He was football's ultimate enigma, a genius with a rebellious streak that made him as compelling off the pitch as he was on it. From his iconic upturned collar to the infamous Kung Fu kick, Cantona's career was filled with moments that are still talked about today. He wasn't just a player, he was a symbol of passion, artistry, and controversy. Some saw him as a genius who elevated Manchester United to new heights, while others viewed him as an uncontrollable rebel. But no matter which side you're on, one thing is certain. Football hasn't seen another character quite like him. So what do you think? Was Cantona a visionary who changed the game? Or was he too reckless for his own good? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love football stories like this, make sure to check out our other videos here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.